How aircraft carriers feed 17,000 hungry U.S. Navy sailors every day. On board an aircraft carrier, there might be more than 5,000 sailors at any given time. More than 17,000 meals are required to be cooked every day on an aircraft carrier so that all of the sailors may be fed. It looks like a culinary marvel that over 100 cooks are working on board, but is this the case? If it is, how are the meals made for such a big number of sailors? There is a large quantity of freshly prepared food on board the ship as it initially begins its mission. Food that has been frozen or canned could be used after a certain number of weeks have passed and the fresh food supply has continued to decrease in quantity. However, this does not imply that the sailors will be deprived of any fresh food in any way. The crew is performing what is known as an underway replenishment on the ship. The aircraft carrier receives a large quantity of freshly prepared meals from the replenishment ship, which is located nearby. When it is out in the open water and making progress, the crew begins the process all over again. Additionally, as the ship pulls into port, it will typically already have fresh provisions packaged and ready to be stored for the crew. Daily production of over 17,000 meals is handled by a team of approximately 93 culinary experts. These meals range from breakfasts that are served at 6 in the morning to rations that are served at midnight. Planning is necessary to achieve this objective. The ship's cooks follow a menu cycle that rotates every 15 days and are given fresh ingredients while they are out at sea, once per week, with both dried and fresh goods included in the transaction. A single day's consumption for the 5,000 people working on an aircraft carrier can include 1,600 pounds of chicken, 160 gallons of milk, 30 cases of cereal, and 350 pounds of lettuce at the very least. Everything is prepared in such large numbers that cooks are needed to work around the clock to keep up with demand, engage in a variety of pursuits, and go through training to acquire new responsibilities. After every 7 to 10 days, a supply will bring enough supplies to adequately stock all of the galleys on a carrier. Food weighing between 400,000 and 1 million pounds will be brought by the ship. When there is a need for variety in the deliveries, it is not uncommon for regional delicacies to be included, such as feta cheese from Greece. This is because regional foods tend to have a wider variety of flavors and textures. The meals that the Navy will provide its troops over the next 15 days are planned. They include meals that are intended to boost the mood of the sailors, such as Taco Tuesday and Mongolian Grill. Even though they are thousands of miles away from their homes, they make it a point to ensure that each meal is served to a high degree, so that the sailors may still enjoy a meal that satisfies them. The level of success that a culinary specialist enjoys in their line of employment has a direct bearing. When a sailor is assigned to a position at sea and their birthday falls within a specific calendar month, the morale of the ship's crew as well as the quality of life they experience on board is positively affected. They are treated to a festive supper that includes a prime rib or lobster as the main course, along with a tablecloth, wine glasses, and relaxing background music. Let's discuss how these culinary experts can produce such a large amount of food each day. The life of a naval culinary specialist requires a sailor who is willing to put in a hard effort, who is not afraid to get their hands dirty, and who is not scared to work unusual and long hours. They get up at 3 in the morning every day to start preparing the breakfast that needs to be ready by 6. Time management is another important talent that culinary professionals in the military need to have. They place the biggest significance on having efficient management of their time. They must maximize the effectiveness of every minute. If they wish to meet the daily demand of producing thousands of meals, they will need to speed up their production. Even if they have several different obligations to accomplish, the food still needs to be cooked correctly and served on time, but life for culinary specialists has been made easier. In addition, there are a variety of responsibilities that fall within the purview of each culinary specialist. Because the galleys of contemporary aircraft carriers have been designed in such a way that cooking will be simple. Let's take the galley aboard the U.S. Gerald R. Ford as an example. Shall we investigate how it was built and how it functions? The United States Navy's most recent addition to its fleet of aircraft carriers is the U.S. Gerald R. Ford. Galleys that are used by Ford are based on the galleys that are found aboard ships of the San Antonio class. Type amphibious transport dock is an architecture that has been demonstrated to be quite successful in the past. On aircraft carriers of the Ford class, there are only 2 galleys that are operational at any given time. The standard operating procedures for running both the conglomerate galleys simultaneously were tasked to be developed by both the supply department at Ford and the food service division, for them to be able to offer food for the crew and support for Q8. The crew chiefs and officers have their meals from one of 3 sides that are adjacent to one another, because the meal components come from the same source and are being prepared by the same cooks in a central kitchen that is located in the back of the aircraft. Serving many food lines from a single galley not only assures that the meal will be similar across the ship, but also discourages the production of individual meals for the different messes. while simultaneously enhancing the overall quality of the meals that are served on the cruise. Both of the ship's kitchens are laid out along the center line of the vessel, and they are serviced by pallet-capable elevators that are positioned above cold, dry, and frozen storage spaces that are palletized. Because this vertical integration contains storerooms located beneath the galley, the food service cargo team can readily break out freeze, chill, and dry goods with a relatively small workforce. This allows for greater flexibility and efficiency. Not only does vertical integration substantially reduce the need for large working teams consisting of 50 to 100 employees to support cargo movements, but it also makes it feasible for the food service division to function without interfering with the ship's regular operations. This is because vertical integration allows for more seamless communication between departments. In the history of the United States Navy, the provision of food has been constantly viewed as one of the most important components of duty. Early on, a nice meal was a key aspect of the recruitment process. Sailors wanted to be assured that they would be fed adequately, which was a significant challenge in early America due to the limited variety of food available. Therefore, sailors needed to be certain that they would receive adequate nourishment. Sailors, who worked on ships that required a significant amount of manual labor, burned more than 4,000 calories per day due to the physical demands of their professions. Another reason why food was so important was to maintain the crew's health. Ultimately, if a crew member is sick, they won't be able to fulfill their duties because they won't be able to perform as expected. What does it mean that the crews that worked on board ships in the United States Navy were organized into messes? The sailors would congregate in the same living quarters to have their meals together. This allowed the chef to serve food that was freshly made for each mess. How was the video? Did you enjoy it? Post your feedback in our comment section below and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates.